So, I think our guest is on the line. Are you ready?
Yeah, buddy.
All right. Is this the one and only Krigare?
Hi, friends.
Hello, hello. There she is. How are you?
I'm so good. How are you guys?
We are good. We are very good. Not as good as you, though. You were like album release eve you're on.
I know. It's crazy. It's kind of like Christmas Eve, but a little more stressful because on Christmas Eve, you're not really too worried about everybody liking your presents that you give them. But in this case, I'm like, well, I'm releasing my heart and soul into the world tomorrow, so let's hope it goes well.
Are you really feeling that way? Are you really feeling like a little bit of pressure? I mean, you've released a few of the singles already, so.
Oh, I definitely have, but there is a little bit of that pressure of like this is the first full-length album that I've ever released, and we're definitely hitting this one harder by talking to more industry people, and this is kind of like the first real full product of Krigare as a whole. But it's really not too much of a pressure. Overall, it's more excitement, but there's always that little bit of like, oh crap, what am I doing?
It's when you sent us the album, and I was listening to it, and then Nick's been listening to it. And did you get the email I forwarded over to you earlier?
I did, and that was I'm so sorry, Nick, for what you've been going through, but I'm so glad that this album could come at the perfect time.
I knew it was coming any day. It just happened to come on the best and worst possible time.
Yeah, man, I feel for you. That is not an easy thing to go through.
Yeah, it was devastating, sad.
Yeah.
But we have the music to bring us up, and something that actually before the album, which we haven't really talked, but you did over the holidays, and I wanted to know how this came about. Was you did a cover of "You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch," which
yeah,
in Krigare's style is awesome.
Thank you.
So what made you want to do that?
It's the fun thing about doing stuff for like TV and film and this cinematic sound is that covers are actually encouraged, and they're encouraged to like go totally over the top with and be crazy about. And the people who I did the America the Beautiful song with, their names are Rachel and Justin. They're amazing friends of mine. I called them because I was like, so when you're trying to get placements for like Christmas commercials or movies or whatever, you have to have those songs written before summer and already like getting into the hands of the people who need the songs. So it's a very odd time of year to be writing Christmas music, which I probably need to get on that now that I'm talking about it. But I went to them because I was like, hey, like let's try and either do a Target ad or something like that. And none of us were really feeling the like super peppy Christmas thing. And Rachel was like, what if we did like You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch, but like Tim Burton style and super weird. And so we completely ran with it. And it's one of my favorite things that I've done like on a personal note. Like I've never been amazing in my own eyes of being able to take a song and reinvent it. That's something that my dad is amazing at, and I've always been so 50-50 on like, can I produce, can I not produce, can I reimagine things or not? And this was one of those that like I'm just so proud of it because it was so much fun. And it was kind of one of those releases where it was like, I don't even care if no one else likes this. Like, this is going to be my theme for the season. And I don't know why because it's so dark. But it was just random. And I'm hoping that this year we can get it placed in something super special.
That would be awesome. It's funny that you said that because from almost every week, Nick and myself, we do these little countdown lists, these top 5 music lists. And it's something we started doing in the last year. And we'll throw out like a topic and we'll come back the following week with our top 5 songs. And we really it's really cool because we end up like really opening up big time and learning so much about each other, about songs and stuff. And I think, Nick, it was like 2 or 3 weeks ago, we did Cover Songs Reimagined.
That is so cool.
Yeah. I think it was 3 weeks ago.
Yeah. And now that you're saying about that, I mean, do you think it's? I mean, I think from the outsider looking in, and when I see like people like artists like yourself who are reimagining these songs, I think that's probably a lot harder than writing an original.
It kind of is. Sometimes it feels easier depending on how out of the box you're wanting to be. But overall, it is kind of hard to reimagine a song that you've listened to the majority of your life. Like that song isn't a new song. We most of us have grown up watching the movie of it and hearing the song. And like when you hear the original, it's like this really Broadway-esque, super quirky, like how are you actually going to turn that into a song that's not cheesy, which felt like a big thing to kind of take on because it is a cheesy song. Like the fact that I'm trying to sound all dark and mysterious and I'm saying like you're as rotten as a crocodile and like you have garlic in your breath and all these weird things, even though I'm blanking on lyrics right now, but there's like a lot of weird sayings like that. And to not laugh when you're saying those phrases was really hard to do. So yeah, it definitely brings on its own challenges compared to writing an original.
Is there any songs like in your head that you really want to do in the Krigare style that you're like, ooh, no, yes, maybe no?
I mean, I have an ongoing list in my phone that I can't remember off the top of my head, but most of my goals is to turn 80s music into like really intense trailer music, which is what a lot of people have started doing now. But there's like great renditions of I Just Died in Your Arms Tonight or like Private Eyes. And there's all these really great songs from the 80s that when you listen to their lyrics, they're actually really creepy lyrics. And I want to reinvent them and make them even creepier than they were intended to be, which don't ask me why I have this side to me. It's just, I love urban decay, like destroyed buildings I find beautiful. So I don't know what that says about me. I guess it works.
Awesome. Well, here, put this in your phone. Add this to your list and it's not even music. Since you said you like urban decay and abandoned buildings and buildings like that, there's I'm the same way. Like I think that stuff is just so fascinating, and I could stare at pictures for hours.
It's so cool.
It really is. There's a guy from here. He's from the Philadelphia area. He put out I think like 3 books now. And I actually had him on the show like a year ago with his last book because I came across him and his work is amazing. It's so fascinating. It's called Abandoned America. And
I think I've seen his stuff because I'm obsessed with urban decay.
Yes. I
cool.
stare at his pictures.
His stuff is amazing.
It really is. It really is.
I love it. We're finding more and more things that we're all similar in.
How about that? So what was it, last week or the week before? Like on Teen Mom, you had, was it 3 or 4 songs on the one episode?
Yeah, so Teen Mom launched a new branch. I guess there's actually like 4 different Teen Mom shows, but they're all like Teen Mom OG or Teen Mom whatever. And so this one, I had one song on Teen Mom OG at the beginning of the year. It was their like New Year's kind of thing. And then for their launch of Teen Mom Young and Pregnant, we had 4 freaking songs on that one episode, which was so crazy.
That it really is amazing. Now, did you get like a lot of instant feedback when it's being played on a major show like that?
Yeah, well, so as you guys have listened to the album, there's the song Let Go on there that we also released at the beginning of the year. And this is a story that I've been telling in my live shows now that I've been playing it. But I honestly never intended on releasing Let Go, like ever, because I only wrote that song because I got like a brief for A Wrinkle in Time. Whenever they were putting the movie together, they had one last-minute song that they went to my licensing company and said, hey, we're wanting this specific kind of song. Do you have anything for it? So my licensor calls me and says, hey, can you write this in like 48 hours for this movie? And I'm like, heck yes, obviously. Now, it didn't get picked up for A Wrinkle in Time, oh well. But instead, it got picked up on Teen Mom. And even though like it was on Teen Mom, I still wasn't planning on releasing it on iTunes or Spotify or anything like that. Because to me, like it's very simple writing. It's not my typical complex like painting a picture kind of a story. And I find that like in my mind, I sound really young on it. And I had all these things about this song that I was like, I don't feel like I'm going to ever release it. But because it aired on Teen Mom, I literally got bombarded with emails and Instagram comments and Facebook messages and like Twitter hashtags and everything saying, where is the song? Where is the song? Will you release it? Please release it. Like a response I've never received before. And so I was like, okay, I guess like let's release this song and see how it does. And it got like 5,000 streams in less than a month, and it's now my number one song on all my streaming platforms. So you never know the kind of response you're going to get on a song, and putting it on TV and film is so great to like look at it objectively, because I can be really harsh on myself and the songs that I write and how my voice sounds, and then when you release it to the world, sometimes the world is more forgiving than you are.
You know, it's funny. As soon as you said the name "Let Go," I literally started hearing your voice in my head singing the chorus.
I love it.
Now with this, I mean, we've talked about this with the whole cinematic pop. How it truly is made for, you know, whether it's television or movies. It's you can just see it in so many different shows or whatever it could be. Now that it's been on like Teen Mom, how much do you think that's really going to open the doors up now, where these other shows be like, whoa, like what is this? Like who is this person? Where did she come from? And let's get her on this show now.
Right. Well, that's kind of how the system works, and it's worked really well in my favor, because the first Teen Mom opportunity that happened at the beginning of the year with Let Go was what started the 4 songs on the next episode. And now like I ended up being MTV's featured artist of the week from just being on Teen Mom, because they like to feature artists who are on their shows. And it totally is that like chain reaction effect, where once you get on one, then you'll get picked up on more, and then they start seeing that like, oh well, we want this song on our stuff too. And it's just that constant, I guess, release of it all happening, which is completely overwhelming. But it's like this is what I've been wanting to happen, and it's happening, and I'm like not even having to try.
That's a good thing. That's a real good thing.
It is a good thing. It is.
Well, didn't MTV bring back the TRL? I mean, that would be if it's like anything like it used to be, that would be perfect for you.
Yeah, I think I have one of my friends who I was on Majors and Minors with. He's actually in the new boy band called Pretty Much, which is like one of Simon Cowell's new boy bands. And they were on the TRL. Is that what it's called? Yeah, TRL. I never watched it growing up, so I don't know. But I hear that it's a big deal that it's back. They were on it, but I think that would be an awesome place to get even more music out on.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, I was going through and watching your videos you put out. You put out some video clips for a handful of the songs, talking about the songs. And one of the songs you were talking about is This Time, which you co-wrote with your dad. And actually, when I first heard it, like I'm listening, I'm like, wow, like this is more of a rocker than the true cinematic pop style.
Yeah, it's that stomp clap, like kind of Dirty South style, which, as you probably saw in my little video that I did behind the scenes of it, that was a very intimidating, like, kind of genre to step into. Because I've really been told my entire life that I sing too young. When I was 15 or 16, I sang for this like book release for an Indian version of The Wheels on the Bus, and it was called The Wheels on the Tuk Tuk. And I had to sing like a 6-year-old, and I was able to do it without like any enhancements on my vocals. So I've literally been told that I sing like a child my entire life, and then going into this like super dark and brooding genre, everybody was like, oh, yeah, you're not going to be able to do that. Maybe we should hire somebody else to do the vocals, like all of this. And my dad was like, heck no, like you can do this. And even if your voice doesn't sound like other people's voices on it, that's going to make it stand out even more. Because this, that stomp clap Dirty South thing isn't anything new. It's all over
Right.
the licensing world right now, and it's, I have friends who do it too. So it's not anything new, and I'm not breaking any like molds in there, but the mold that I am breaking is that my voice doesn't sound like the typical voice that goes on that style of music, and it just took owning that to be able to sell it.
Now, again, with that song, I mean, this was one that you co-wrote with your dad, and I think it was the only one you co-wrote with your dad on the album. And I think, did you say it was like only the second song you guys have written together? Like, what's it like actually like writing with your dad? I mean, because yes, he's helping you on the musical department and producing and stuff like that. But it's your dad. Is it like awkward at any time?
Surprisingly, it wasn't. So he actually co-wrote Let Go with me too. We wrote This Time First, and then we wrote Let Go. And we've been doing music together since I was like 6 or 7 years old. He's always done my vocals. He's always helped me with producing. And we've had a really great relationship there. But there was an instance when I was probably 7 where he played me a song that he had written with somebody else, and my 7-year-old self told him that his lyrics were trite. And I think that kind of took it off the table for us to ever be able to write together because of 7-year-old me thinking lyrics were trite. But this time came from another brief for a Netflix trailer, and it was just so convenient that we have a home studio, and he was going out to dinner with my mom, and he was like, here, why don't I just loop some things for you, and you can get started, and I'll come back and touch up stuff later. And so we're not necessarily always writing in the room together like a typical writing session. It's a very healthy relationship where I strictly do lyrics and melody, and he strictly does tracks, and then he also, helps put in input whenever I'm asking for it. So we're kind of able to write separately and then come together and work what we've both done together, which is different than how I normally write with people, but I feel like it's the perfect way for us to write together as family. But there hasn't been any awkwardness in it at all since I was 7. So that's at least good. I got past my harsh, opinionated 7-year-old self and learned how to properly communicate how I feel about lyrics.
Well, it's funny. Like right there, you're talking about the 7-year-old self, and you're growing up before our eyes. And the one song that I said this to myself about was Royal Blood, because it's a very sexy sounding song. I'm like, Krigare is growing up before our eyes. She really is.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. I don't think I've ever taken on that title before or ever owned it at all. So this is a whole new venture for me as well.
Oh, it's too funny. Too funny. Now, how about another one too you were talking about was Sparks, and you mentioned in the video for it where you're talking about it was when you wrote that, you wrote that like you were writing it for the Hunger Games, like. And
yeah.
do you do that with a lot of the songs? Like, do you picture like a certain movie or show where you would like your music to end up on now?
I kind of do. I think it's kind of like creating a mood board or just like a blank canvas to choose from. Because I like storytelling, and I like making sure that like what I want to do is be able to paint pictures with words and with music that then end up lining up with videos. And so it's such a great way to do that by putting on different trailers in the background, because even if you turn off all of the music and like put it on mute, there's still an emotion that's being told, and it gives the freedom of putting music to it on your own. And I just like doing that because I feel like it's a different way of writing, and it's like a new muscle to use. And writing can get monotonous after a while, especially if you're writing with the same people and, you're writing for briefs all the time, and it can just kind of become a boring ritual. But having visuals to put what you're writing to, I feel like it just adds even more of a flair to it. It helps the creative juices flow even better.
Is that why you also kind of like do work with so many different writers? And like somebody else you worked with was it Joseph Trapanese, who worked on The Greatest Showman?
Yeah. Working with different writers, I would recommend it to any sort of a writer, whether it's a book writer, poem writer, or a songwriter. Every person that you write with is going to bring out something different in you. And I know that most of the time for me, if I'm writing lyrics by myself, like I may be able to reach a certain level of something that could be great, but I have that fear of the unknown of like, what if there's something better? And
Sure.
I find that having other people in the room at least opens up that opportunity of somebody challenging me in a way that I wouldn't have personally thought of on my own.
Interesting. Now, there was actually a song that you were posting out there that you sang on, but I guess it's not yours. It's a collaboration you do with somebody, Ecstatic, which I guess is that like a DJ or something? Which is amazing.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, so I don't know if you guys ever saw or heard the song Destiny that I did with a composer named Jennerdyne, and that song is also on the album, as you know. But from that opportunity, which was released last September, I believe, we got an email from this duo who I believe they're going to have to forgive me. I hope they're not listening to this. They're either from Holland or they're from Belgium. I'm not completely certain about that. But they emailed me and they said, hey, we heard your vocals on Destiny and we loved them and we would really love to do a collaboration with you. And they sent me a track and they were like, no pressure. If you want to, great. If not, whatever. And so I listened to the song, and first off, Destiny was my first collaboration that I've ever done. And that was a big deal. And then for like other people to be reaching out was another big deal. Kind of makes me feel like a really cool person. And so I listened to their track, and I don't know if I've ever brought out the geeky side to you guys or not, but I used to be an avid World of Warcraft player, and my whole family was completely addicted to like the unhealthy stages. And if you listen to the beginning of Dead to Life, it sounds like a freaking World of Warcraft game. Like, it sounds like the intro to it, and I lit up whenever I heard it. And I've never worked in, like, hardstyle EDM before either, so I was like, oh, this is just, it's exciting. It feeds my nerddom side, and it's something new to try. And how cool to be able to work with a band internationally. And so I emailed them. I was like, heck yeah, like let's do this. And so we've been working on that since September, I guess. Like, it's been a process. And something like a little tidbit of something exciting is typically either my dad records my vocals or I'll go into a studio with somebody else. But that's actually the first song that I've ever solely recorded my own vocals and comped them. And I did it all myself on that one. So that was kind of even another big step for me.
Now, how about like with the video? I guess you filmed your stuff here and then send it over to them, and they put it all together, or?
Exactly. So they said, "Hey, we're wanting to put together more of a visual for the song. Are you guys even able to do that?" And we're like, "Well, yeah, that's kind of how we do everything over here. Is we can just do it ourselves." And they're like, "Well, all we really know is they really loved the Heights video." And they're like, can you do something like Heights? I was like, well, I don't necessarily want to repeat myself, but let me see if I can do a different spin on it. And I had already had this idea of using a projector to project images in front of me and kind of give the same illusion of having face paint on, but through like a projection. And so I sent them this idea of doing these like striped lines. And so we went up into my guest room again, put the backdrop up, and filmed it all in a day's work.
That's awesome. It came out so amazing with between the vocals and your scenes, and then them with that crowd being so active and into it. It's amazing collaboration.
Thank you so much. That was an unreal visual to see for me. They said that they were going to premiere the song at this crazy hardstyle festival, and I've never seen such a large crowd respond to my voice before. Sure. So that was just as cool of an experience as it is for you guys to be able to watch it.
I mean, did you literally, as you sat there and watched it for the first time, did you have chills? Did you have tears? Did you have both?
So I can tend to be a slightly unemotional person. So usually when I'm overwhelmed, I just look like deadpan in the face. but that's still me, like, that's completely overwhelmed. That's like, I don't even know how to process what I'm seeing, and it's hard for me to believe that it's real. So it's more of that, just like in awe of, holy crap, is this even happening?
Oh, it's so awesome. And the funny thing is, we have a song queued up to play, and I let Nick pick, and it is Destiny. That's what he did pick.
No way! Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I should have known.
So Nick, was there any questions that you had?
No, it's funny because me and Bay usually have really different song on the album, and it's funny because when it first came out, I saw that it was featuring, and I was like, oh, I want to listen to it, but I don't want to hear anybody else sing. So I kind of let it sit for a long time. And then I was like, all right, I don't have anything else to listen to. Let me listen to this one. And I didn't realize that it was just your voice on it.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, it's awesome. So now it's like it's a ritual in my household to play your Spotify Warrior playlist on the way to school every day.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. I love your family. That's so cool.
You know, it's funny too, because that later that day, after I listened to it a couple times, I sent Nick a message. I'm like, first off, like, your voice, I mean, from the couple songs we heard, it's like, all right, yeah, she's got a great voice, but there's moments on this album that really, like, took me. I was like, holy crap, like, you don't really get to experience the full from what we've heard so far until this album. And the one song I said to Nick was Destiny. I said, like, dude, her voice shines. Like, I was blown away on Destiny.
Oh, thank you so much. That means so much coming from you guys.
Yeah. So we have a few hours to go until it comes out. So where should we send everybody to get this album? Is it going to be just digital? Are you going to do physical copies?
We are doing physical copies as well as digital downloads. We personally don't have our physical copies yet, but when we do, we'll let the world know. But you can get it. Hopefully, it'll come out at midnight. If not, it'll be out sometime tomorrow on Apple Music and on Spotify, and hopefully on anything else that streams music in this world.
It sounds like by the comment you made earlier that I'm guessing Spotify is the biggest thing going right now.
It is, and it's tricky because, Spotify is a not as profitable way for artists to have their music listened to. Right. But the bonus to it is it's a very easy way for people to hear your music and to grow a fan base out of it, to get it in playlists, and you get to track your streams on it, which is really great too. But it's, it's whatever way people can listen to the music, that's what's important. And the fact that we're able to get it out into an easy way for people to hear it, I'm super thankful for that.
And I'm looking now, looks like you do have some shows coming up as well.
Yeah, dude, we've been on tour since the beginning of the year. We actually just got back today from Louisiana and Kansas. And nice. It's been literally the most amazing thing because we do a lot of college shows, which I think I've told you before, and it really is the perfect demographic for my music, and it's so much fun because it's getting to play for people who are my age, and it just makes it a fun environment. But more than anything, we've just been so blown away by the response to our live show. I've been playing music live since I was 12, I think, and it's a learning process for anybody to figure out exactly how to perform a show, how to tell your story, how to bring these songs to life, and the response that we've gotten from this run has been completely overwhelming, and we're running out of merch, and we're gaining fans, and the coolest thing is, you guys know I'm very open about my cancer journey and the emotional side effects of it and the daily struggles that happen, and that, I'm not afraid to say that from the stage as well. And I was privileged this week to play at Louisiana Tech University, and it was for a suicide prevention night. And so I got to really go in depth on my story and what I've dealt with and the depression and anxiety. And I went way more in depth there and told things that, I haven't even remembered in a while, and I am not afraid to say I do not have my craft together whatsoever, and even doing events like that is still hard for me. But even at a normal show, when I do Sleeping Awake, like I have a whole spiel beforehand of my goal is to break down this wall from stage to audience and make it feel like, okay, we're all just people here, but also to break down the wall of the fear of talking about the issues that we have.
Mm-hmm.
And I share what I go through in hopes of, hey, like, I hate feeling alone. I hate feeling like I'm the only person going through these things. And I know, especially at colleges, man, college is hard, and there's a lot of depression and anxiety and suicide attempts that happen specifically at colleges. And I feel like it's just the perfect environment to open up that conversation and make it less scary and make people feel less alone. And the relationships and the stories that are coming out of this and being able to comfort myself in having these relationships with people, but also hearing back from people like, man, I've never been able to, say what you just said. I've never been able to process those things until you put it that way. And that's the most important part of what I do, and that has been the best part of this journey. So I'm loving being on the road right now. I'm loving meeting so many people, and I'm so excited to play our last few shows of this season in the next coming weeks.
That's awesome. It's as you were just talking, I'm literally saying to myself, I'm saying two things. First off, I'm saying to myself, I mean, we've been talking now, I guess it's like 2 to 3 years now. I'm thinking to myself,
yeah,
you can hear the truly, honestly, the maturity over the last even 6 months since we've talked, maybe even longer it's been since we talked. I'm like, wow, like she truly is growing up so quick and getting so mature, and the talent is through the roof. And the other thing I'm saying, I'm thinking when that whole thing went down last summer with that show that we had to cancel, that destroyed me. It really did. Like that just took the life out of me with doing live events. That whole fiasco, and I'm just thinking about it. Like, what a nightmare that was.
Right. Man, we still got to find a way to meet up in person. It's got to happen.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Although you're going the opposite direction as I'm looking at the shows you're doing, Texas, Wisconsin, Kansas.
I know, I'm literally not coming anywhere near you.
Actually, you're going closer to Nick. Nick's out in Arizona, so you're going out more his direction.
Man, we were close to him. We made it all the way to like West Texas, almost to New Mexico the other week, so we were pretty close.
Wow. You're getting out there. That's awesome. This is such an exciting time for you. I'm happy for you.
Thank you so much. You guys have been so supportive in all of this, and you are by far always my favorite people to talk to and to geek out about all of this music and all that's going on. So I appreciate you guys so much.
Absolutely. And actually, it was the last question before we let you go and before we play Destiny. You mentioned your health. How's it been? Everything's good?
Oh, my gosh, guys. It's been so good. I had my 3-year checkup just a few weeks ago. And, I've been going every single 6 months for the last 3 years. And this was my 3-year, and it was so clear that my doctor was like, you know what, I don't even want to see you for another year. And I was like, cool, smell you later, not coming back here for a year.
I love it. That's awesome. That's so good to hear.
Yeah, so I am feeling good, and I'm excited and working hard, and I'm just so excited to see what all comes from this release tomorrow.
Good things, big things, happy things, cinematic pop things.
Cinematic pop things, warrior things.
Warrior things, absolutely. Cool. Well, Krigare, it's always a pleasure. So happy to talk to you again. So happy and excited for you with the new music. And so let's do Destiny for everybody. Let's share the wealth with everybody.
Sounds good. Thank you guys so much.
You're welcome.